You did. Yeah, I've been more. Yes. Just. All right. Just.
Okay. I appreciate everybody's patience. We did have a short executive session prior to this, so I would ask everybody to stand and say the
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we have no persons to address the board, but we do have a couple presentations, I would start with Mr. Hagstrom and the Angelica. Oh, yeah, we did not do that. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Go ahead. All right. Hand out here. Pointed down, right?
Hand it out.
Hand out, yes. So I can make it work. Short and sweet.
Thank you, David.
Start out
Thank you.
Yeah, do that. This is budget summary for the library for the current year. The article that was in the Booster News back in February after our annual meeting on January 11th. And so our operating budget for 2021 is $53,000, which is up $1,000, and that's what's on the ballot for our tax levy increase. Is that $1,000, so it doesn't exceed the tax cap. And then the budget allocations that we make every year. Those are the numbers, books, and other materials. 4450 wages and employee benefits. 21,810 janitorial service and supplies. 2,500 utilities. 4,000 library supplies. 400 building insurance. 2,500 building maintenance. 4,000 security. 360 programming. 1,750 equipment. 1,500 technical services. 5,094 accounting services. 2,800 miscellaneous. 575 and contingency. 1,181. And as everybody knows, this is a guideline. This is not, something comes along and you got to move things around. But that's where we are. And then the last thing here just tells us who the current board is there. So are there any questions about any of those numbers and any of that stuff? A couple of other things. It was interesting here at public libraries. Of course, you guys know all about interesting years, so I can't compete with what you had to go through. One of the things that we were able to do, which was helpful, was the mobile hotspots program. Got a grant for purchase of those, and I think that was supplemented subsequently by some more money, and I don't remember exactly where it came from, but that was very popular, and that was for people who are outside of Wi-Fi areas, and we are continuing with that hotspots program. So that was a good thing. We had the reduced capacity and the cut back in hours and all of that stuff that everybody else went through. So, and now it looks like the governor has reduced some limits on occupancies. I think the 6 foot distance is still a factor, but the capacity requirements, I think, have been changed both indoors and outdoors. So that's good for libraries as well as everybody else. We're looking into a couple of grant opportunities for this year. There's one, New York State Building Construction Aid, which is an annual funding program from the state that is administered through the Southern Tier Library System, which is the cooperative that we are a part of. And we're looking at furnace replacement at the library. And there are 3 furnaces that serve different areas of the building. We're looking to replace 2 of them, and the estimate on that project is $6,050. And the grant building construction aid program through the state calls for a 75% match, but it may get kicked back to 50. So we don't know about that. Deadline for those applications is latter part of June. So we're working on that. And there's also a program administered by the Landmark Society of Western New York called the Genesee Valley Rural Revitalization Program. I don't know if anything on that has come through here, but we're putting in 2 small applications through that program. One is for some exterior masonry work on the building, $10,000 round number figure on that. And the other one is for an asbestos study for the building to take a look at the conditions in case we were to do something more that required disrupting some things. And that's going to be $1,250. So there was the first round of funding through this program was due March 31st. We didn't make that, so the next round is September. So a couple of grant things up in the air. We got our fingers crossed, of course. There's nothing here that is an emergency situation, but we got to take care of things before it gets to be.
Good luck to you. Upkeep is always the best part, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's all I've got. And I can't stay because I got someplace else I got to get to. So,
All right, no problem.
any questions? If not, have a nice night.
I appreciate you coming in, Dave.
Yep.
Thanks for asking.
Absolutely.
Have a great night, David.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will now turn it over to Brian and Aaron for the 2021, 2022 year budget.
I'm gonna stand behind you, make you feel nervous. Like the student who's always in trouble. You know, but
Thanks.
have a great night, David. Thank you. So there are not a lot of changes to the budget presentation that we gave to you about a month ago, but I want to just kind of go through for our public as to what are the things that we continue to do when we develop a budget here at Genesee Valley. First and foremost, we look to see how we can possibly save money from year to year and find efficiencies. We certainly take a look at our student offerings. We look at our staff and make sure that our staffing is appropriate. And then we want to always, to our best, comply with the parameters of the New York State tax levy. So for this upcoming school year, this budget continues the work that we've done to maintain all of our current instructional and extracurricular offerings. It maintains all of the professional development supports. And then one of the great advantages of the federal stimulus money is that we're going to have an opportunity to advance some of that professional development with one-time funding. We're looking to be able to use that as we go forward. It certainly continues to support board goals in our STEAM initiative, which again is finally starting to come to fruition with the students being back in the building and us being able to use the Innovation Center more and more with more and more capacity. As always, we try to provide a foundation in this budget for future budgets. That's one of the key components of making sure that we're budgeting effectively annually so that we can be good stewards of the district and the district is financially sound for years to come. So our focus is on our district goals as well as the state requirements. One of the things that I think you'll be, actually I want you to move forward with the slide there, Aaron. In the budget itself, one of the things I really want you to focus on is the staffing, as always. And so this year we've tried to have opportunities to condense staffing, as well as to better utilize staffing that where it meets the needs of the district. So no surprises here. You've approved a new special education director. We've increased our intervention support. So far, we have offered positions to 4 new elementary teachers. 2 are replacing retirees, and 2 will be replacing an intervention roles in positions that are transitioning in one way or another. So we're excited about the additional opportunities for support that we're going to be able to provide for kids. Jake Griswold is on staff and is really actively working hard. He came on last week, and so week prior. So he has been funding through the ARC grant. He's in the process of planning and developing. He's giving her and I a nice big list of wants and needs of things for the program. He's also helping to support us already with some technology classes in-house. And so really excited about the possibility this program is going to be. Right now, we have 6 GV students who are targeted to start in this program in the fall. And then we're in the process of hiring a teacher assistant to support that program, the instructional component of that program, as well as provide additional supervision. And then student supplies, we started, I think it was 2 years ago, we started adding student supplies into the district budget. This budget includes those supplies as well. We have yet to hear whether we were successful with the after school day, the extended school day grant. We should be hearing that any day now. In case we are not successful, we have the funds are within this budget to make sure that we can maintain that program. And we are also going to be offering a robust summer enrichment program. So our JAG program for enrichment, our JAG program for extra support for both ELA and math is going to be happening this summer. Also included in the budget is a new American Sign Language position. This position will help actually save because it condenses the contracts we have. We have students who are coming to the district and increasing need for American Sign Language as a function of students with disabilities. We have reduced instructional and bus driver positions. We have some retirements that are happening that we are not replacing, as well as the capital outlay project is included in the budget again. Next year's capital outlay project will be replacing the flooring in 4 pre-K classrooms. If the funding is there and the cost of flooring is reasonable, we're going to replace 2 kindergarten classrooms as well. Very similar to this, something similar to this vinyl flooring. So it helps with our milk spills and all the other spills that take place in those classrooms. And also we're going to be replacing 4 doors that have the wire mesh that are out of code, and we're upgrading the controls on the new gate that goes out to McNinch Lane. So that's within this year's capital outlay project. I'm going to pause there. Any questions, Brett?
On the bus driver position, we're gonna condense a route somewhere?
So we have so the driver who's retiring, we have he's transporting students to Cuba, to Elm Street. And so we don't have students who are participating in that route. So we didn't have to actually condense any of our local routes.
We are also losing Houghton Academy next year. So he did that route as well.
We don't have any students going to Houghton Academy.
Right, yeah.
So. And I think it's Aaron's turn.
All right, so here is the tax levy that's included in the budget. We're looking at a 0.9% increase, which equates to just over $27,000. So here's our 3-part budget year to year. It's broken out in between the admin, program, and capital. As you can see, our admin portion increased just under 4%. That's mainly due to our director of special ed position. So going from part-time to a full-time position. Our program has remained pretty consistent, and then our capital has decreased just over 1%. So that's our debt service payments. And with an overall budget to budget increase of 1.21%. So here's our estimated revenues just broken out between the categories. Our general aid, as you can see, is the one that increased the most, just over $300,000. Our community schools stayed the same. BOCES aid, just a minimal increase there. Other revenues, we're projecting a decrease. That's mainly because I'm budgeting for I took the decrease off of the expense side of things. It's just a coding issue that the auditors like to see. And then our reserves are decreasing roughly $120,000. So we're not allocating as much in reserves to offset the budget. So here you can kind of see the breakdown of reserves that we're decreasing. Our fund balance, our appropriated fund balance is staying the same at $400,000. The debt reserve last year, I don't know if you remember, we doubled our debt reserve just to help offset the budget increase last year. So we're gonna take it back down to 8,000. That's just to help offset future debt payments. Our transportation reserve, this is the bus. So we went from the activity bus last year to a new 64 passenger bus, and that decreased just over $60,000. Retirement reserve, we are staying the same, and this is just to help offset our ERS expenses. And unemployment reserve, we're not expecting this to go away. So we kept that consistent at 15,000. Here's just a visual of where our revenues are coming from. Like I said before, the majority, just under 70%, is coming from the state. And then our property taxes is roughly 17%. So getting into the expenditures, again, broken out into category, our general support increased just under 50,000. Our instructional, that's where you see the majority of the increase. Our transportation category, that decreased again from the bus, as well as the decreased bus driver position. Employee benefits, that went down a little bit. And then our debt service decreased as well. Any questions?
The increase in the instruction is what you were talking about earlier, right? Some of that is an anticipated increase, percentage rates in the new.
Yeah, those are just
If we
basically
settle
contractual increases,
Right.
yeah.
So why did you offset the numbers just to confuse us?
That's an auditor recommendation, so, yeah,
A psychological approach.
I know, it is confusing.
Just curious.
You won't see that next year. Any other questions on this? Again, the visual, obviously the majority of our expenditures are the instruction with benefits. Debt service is just under 18%. General support is 14%, and our transportation is 3.5%. So here is our budget to budget summary. As I mentioned, we're looking at a 1.21% increase. That's just over 200,000. And with a tax levy increase of 0.9%. So here's what we know as far as the federal stimulus. This is a one-time funding, and it's to be used through September of 2024. As of right now, districts are required to submit a plan and post that to their website by July 1st. So we're hoping that gets extended. That's a pretty aggressive timeline in our opinion. So we need to prioritize the spending on non-recurring expenses. So like I mentioned, it's one time. And we are, as right now, these numbers have changed twice so far. So hopefully these are the permanent numbers here. So 650,000, the CRSA Act. So this is very similar to the CARES Act. It's very broad in what we can use this for. It's emergency support through grants to school. So that we can use for our PPE. We can use it to maintain staff. There's a whole broad category. There's many categories to use this funding for. And then the American Rescue Plan Act. So this is 1.4 million. This is really defined as learning loss. So included in that, we are receiving 700,000 learning loss grant. So 100,000 of that needs to be allocated towards summer enrichment, and 100,000 of that needs to be allocated towards after school enrichment. And then the remaining of those funds need to be used for learning loss in other areas. So that's what we know so far. I mean, we are getting information daily about this, and it's changing daily. So this is really a basic overview. Does anybody have questions on this?
On like the 700,000 for learning loss.
Mm-hmm.
What, who determines learning loss, and what are you gonna get, like new technology or something that we should have had when the kids were?
Yeah, the technology can be included in that. So these are going to be, we are going to have to apply for this funding, even though they say we are receiving this funding, it's going to be coming to us in form of a grant. So we are going to have to, show what we're using the funding for and whether or not they'll approve it or not. So technology is a piece of that. Whether or not we use that for technology, we'll have to determine it, but
One of the things I would maybe look at is $650,000. So we're waiting for interpretation as to whether any of this funding can be utilized towards capital projects. Because one of the biggest components of COVID is your air filtration system. And our next major capital project will be to replace the air handlers on the building. And so in an ideal world, we will be able to use some, if not all of this funding to support the local share, taxpayer share of the capital project to replace the air handlers. It's a pretty big, we have something like 26, 24 air handlers on our building. And so we talk about wanting to prepare the building for another pandemic. Airflow is a major thing that it's one of the things we're looking at. So, but again, we have not received that interpretation from down yet as to whether that's reasonable. A lot of the listservs that both Aaron and I are on, people are asking those questions. Can I take the CARES money, for example, to be able to apply that towards a capital project so that we have a long-term benefit with increased airflow, better air filtration as we go forward. So that's CRS. Yes. And then the other part of that in the ARP grant, part of we'll try to identify as a learning loss. You know, you're really looking for that as to how is it online curriculum? Is it additional textbooks? Is it training around what that new curriculum looks like? Is it the ability to make sure that we're measuring and then providing additional support in the classrooms or outside the classrooms for students who are not at grade level? So that's going to, and again, to Aaron's point, we're supposed to have a comprehensive plan with them by July 1st, when really just got the information in the last 2 weeks of what, and it's changed. So I anticipate them kicking the can down the road for the plans because most districts are not going to be prepared to give a comprehensive plan on how to spend this money this time of year.
Yeah.
But if we have to, we'll be ready.
So my guess would be that some of the administrators, teachers figure out, but
So our conversation will be around, here's what it can be used for, and we'll certainly solicit ideas.
Now you have until the 2023, third and 2024 to spend it.
Correct.
So
And that's if it doesn't get extended.
So there's no rush as far as, because you want to spend it wisely and most effectively.
Absolutely. And that's why we're absolutely hesitant to hire staff.
Right.
Because again, as to our budget, it's one-time funding, instead of funding is gone, that the staff become absorbed into our existing budget. So we're trying to buy programs and things that will support our students and our faculty and staff versus buying people.
Now, is the federal agency giving you ideas or examples?
They're very slow with what type of guidance they're providing so far. So it's just starting to come
I
out.
was gonna say, and as it goes further down the road, you'll be hearing what other districts are doing and be able to, I mean, we're good at inventing the wheel, but reinventing the wheel, you know, what other schools are doing, I would have to guess would be coming probably around that July.
So I'm attending a webinar Thursday that has that this is defined for and talking about what the school what's able to be used for. So as we get more interpretations, people are starting to. And we'll be updating you. One of our topics for the board retreat is the building condition survey. Our architects are going to be in the room to present to you on that, as well as what does the next capital project look like. I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to have some better guidance that we can say to you, okay, yeah, if we go to move in this direction to replace air handlers, here's the estimated cost, or here's what we can at least use towards local dollar share. Because again, we can propose to our community a capital project that has zero impact on tax levy, but then deal for both district. So
Yeah.
we want to try to do it.
So here's just the vote details. Proposition 1 is the school bus, and that's to be taken out of the transportation reserve. Proposition 2 is the library levies. That's a total combined increase of 1,500. And then the Board of Ed candidates. So we have 3 open seats with 3 candidates. And here are just the vote details. So Tuesday, May 18th from noon to 8 p.m. Belmont residents will vote in the pool vestibule here at GBCS, and Angelica residents will be at the Angelica Grange. Are there any other questions?
On the bus rate, I know I asked you once before. I talked to Billy, I forgot all about it, but what they decide to do with the old bus? Are we gonna sell them on Auction International now, or something like that?
I believe he has them traded in. Yes, the one traded in for this bus, I believe. Yeah. I'll have to ask him. I'm not exactly sure. He's changed it a couple times.
Because I remember when I talked to him before, I thought maybe it would get more out of the Auction International. It would give us a lot of trade.
So to that point, we have, on tonight's board agenda, you have a long list of items to be accessible, their technology in the classrooms. So that's the conversation we're having.
It's the
is whether we
128
offer them something like
grand
option.
before the trade-in or after the trade?
After. The trade-in's literally like $2,000.
$2,000?
Yeah, that's usually what you get for a trade-in. There was a point where we were getting more in scrap, so he did scrap a lot. Yeah.
And like I said, I was on there today looking at stuff on Auction International. Sorry. That's $500 on it.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I know Willie, he's gonna want to maximize the amount of
sure.
money you get for that stuff.
I was talking with him today, and I forgot all about it.
I think it's a valid point, like what you were saying with that list of computers, projectors. Some of it is in great shape, some of it not so great shape. But if we can recoup some of the money, you know, even if it's a small portion, instead of just letting them go to the landfill or electronic waste.
The irony of when we did our last auction, desks that we sold out here and how much they became a commodity in the last year.
Yeah.
And yet they had sat in storage for years and people wanted to move tables and so you never know, but our storage is full again. We're looking to move on to an online auction.
Well, thank you. I will read the vote information. The annual budget vote and the election of the Board of Education members to be held on Tuesday, May 18th, 2021 from noon until 8 p.m. There will be two election districts. Angelica residents vote at the Angelica Grange Hall and Belmont residents vote at the GBCS School Vestibule. All ballots will be open starting at 8 p.m. Residents will vote on the 2021-2022 school budget, propositions for purchase of 1 64-passenger school bus, with the use of the transportation reserve funds, increase support for the Angelica and Belmont Town Libraries, and vote for 3 Board of Education members. Petitions have been filed by Eric Knapp, Fred Grusendorf, and Timothy Ham. Moving on, I need a motion and a second for the approval of the April 20th, 2021 minutes as approved.
So move.
Sam? Bev? Any questions, any additions, deletions, substitutions, amendments? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative reports were sent via email and there's a pile of them by the copy machine. Do you have anything else for financial reports, Ms. Ostrander? That being said, I will look for a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Bud? Brett? Any questions on those? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the warrant reports.
I'll move on that.
Josh, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Don. Questions on those? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda and general action items. Need a motion and a second to approve 6 different items on the consent agenda. One being the second reading of several different policies. Following maintenance workers, summer maintenance workers under the supervision of Chris Graham, which would be Tracy George and Fisher Herman. Following volunteers, Cody Schneider for varsity baseball and Gibson Shannon for varsity track. Appoint the following boat inspectors as alternates, one being Dave Hagstrom, the second being Karen Morgan. The list of approved, or we need to approve the excise technology items that you received a list of, pretty extensive list. And finally, amend the 2020-2021 school board or Board of Education meeting calendar to reflect that we will be voting on the budget results at 8:30 roughly on Tuesday, May 8:30 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second on that.
Josh. Any questions on those? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to personnel action items. Need a motion and a second to approve the extra work days for those listed below. Beth, thank you. And second,
Sure.
Josh. Questions on those? Looks like it's pretty in line with what we normally, outside of Jake, which I'm assuming is to get the program up and running.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve summer feeding program work days for Amy Albert over the 2021 feeding program.
So moved.
Don? Fred? Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, no?
She's just.
I don't think it'd be an issue.
I think his hand motion was, I'm not gonna touch
Yeah.
this one. Jump this a second.
Yeah.
How they gonna link that?
We're okay to go. I'm just sorry. I didn't interrupt that. That was funny.
Right now I have 6 yays and no nays. We good? The motion carries.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I saw there was a little hesitation and I forget the relationship there, but it's done. Need a motion and a second to appoint the web designer, Bill Horton. He's done this past 2 years.
So moved.
Josh,
Second.
Don? Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to appoint the substitute caller, as in the past, Linda Warner. Get that size, Donnie, and he'll use the second. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the internal claims auditor, Denise Baker. Bud? Second, Fred? Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the JAG news editor, Miss Winterhalter.
I already had the name.
Josh,
Sure.
you gonna second Buddy's motion?
Sure,
Does it say Mrs. Gordon?
right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was wondering, she thought, wait a minute, I read it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So we have the motion by Bud and a second by Josh. Any questions on that?
Thank you for facilitating the process.
Is that, is part editing, making sure?
Oh, my God.
Now we'll all stay.
Please do.
People in glass houses.
Should we table it? All those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. I was gonna say, I read it twice, I still didn't get that. Need a motion to appoint extracurricular activity oversight manager, Brittany Scholes. Fred? And Bud? Any questions on that?
Would you just refresh my memory on the duties of that?
Ms. Standard or Don?
I'm not, she basically is the person who oversees all of the books for our extracurricular accounts, our class accounts, club accounts. So she basically, we have Devin helps deal with managing the books, and then Brittany checks it again to make sure. This was an area that we were cited in our audit
Okay.
for years. And
I'm refreshed.
we brought in this position to help us make sure that there's plenty of oversight.
Retirement.
That's all right. No, that's a good question. That comes back.
Yeah, but Brittany usually handles it all.
This is an argument, which is rare, you know.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to appoint Medicaid certification officer, Aaron Graham. Bud, and I saw a second hand. Right, Bev?
Yes, I did.
Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? And I'm going to abstain. Motion carries. Need a motion to appoint education law 2D position. Jeff Leveni.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? That is the one that makes sure that we're not being breached and hacked and
Oh, yeah.
all that, making sure of our security system.
All of the ones we subscribe, software we subscribe to has.
Yeah.
Follow that logic. Sure.
Right. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve maternity leave for Casey Mayshot from on or about October 4th through on or about January 12th of 2022. Brad and Bud. Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the following substitutes. HAP Stoll as a substitute teacher's assistant and teacher's aide. Megan Hand as a non-certified substitute teacher and teacher's aide. Isabel Mariotti, non-certified substitute teachers and teacher's aide. And Madeline Todd, also non-certified substitute teacher and teacher aide.
So moved.
Don? Right? Any questions? For the record, Megan and I are not related. Just to set the record. That's right. The last name is income. Different branch of a tree a long time ago. those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to appoint technology advisor. Mark Levine. We're getting play by plays here. Those of you that are watching. Need him, no, that's right, that's sorry. Appointed technology advisor Mark Levine for the remainder of this year, correct? Yes. So Bud and Fred. Questions on that? I guess my question would be, that's just for the remainder of this school
He's
year.
replacing paycheck.
Yeah.
With the upcoming events that we have, we need to do this.
Yeah. Got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept the resignation of Stacy Schmidt as the extended school day program director effective June 30th, 2021. Bev, thank you. Second,
Second.
Tom, thank you. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Kelly McGinnis, 7th, 8th grade English teacher effective August 1st, 2021. Bud? Second? Bev? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I also need a motion to appoint long-term substitute teacher Isabel Mariotti to non-probationary long-term special education teacher for Emily Ring from on or about June 4th, 2021 through June 24th, 2021, if needed. Bud?
Second.
John? Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information and discussion.
The dates for the next board meetings are on there. I anticipate meeting in here on next Tuesday at 8:30. We finish somewhere between 8:30 and 8:45, typically when we're counting votes. If you want, those people who are not there for the tally, if you want to come and be here, you certainly are able to do so. And we can go from there. Have you got something to share?
Yeah, when you're done.
Yes, well,
I'm going to challenge, just because Doc sent this out today, and I've done this in the past. And I would like to challenge each of the board members to, it's been a rough year, to try to find one staff member. It doesn't have to be a teacher, doesn't have to be administrator, it can be a bus driver, it can be a custodian. And acknowledge the good work that they do for the superintendent's Jaguar Awards.
Thank you.
The last time we did that, I thought it went very well, and there was a lot of them. We had a great turnout of teachers looking at other teachers, teachers looking at administrators, administrators looking at teachers. And it's been a rough couple of years, so another one. So I would challenge you to try to find that one person. I know I have a couple in mind already. I may be more than one, but a couple that stand out to me as leading the charge since the last time that this happened 2 years ago.
We did them last year.
Oh, really?
I believe we did them in this is electronic.
Oh, okay. I'm optimistic.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought we did them last year. But
You may very well have. I just
and
missed
if
it.
we didn't, we'll make sure that we make up for it. But thank you. I appreciate that. I think this was a board initiated program with the Jaguar Awards. It's great. I think it's a great way to recognize for peers, recognize peers. So, they're due June 4th. If you can just give me a call for something that you need some further information on, I'll be happy to help you.
I figured giving you a copy of it so you can see what the criteria was and be able to write it out. And I would say give it back to probably Pam and she can forward them on to
All right.
Dr. Schiff.
The other thing I was gonna add to you is that, the distinguished alumni walk of fame met last week. We had a robust discussion. We have 3 inductees that will be inducted during the graduation ceremony this year. We also recognize 2, currently 2, an Angelica grad and a GE grad, that we would like to induct as the 2020 inductees at our annual honor roll dinner in October. And so I met with Marina following that meeting. She sent letters out to all of the people who were nominated in the past, to let them know that they still are being considered, if they'd like to be considered, if they want to update their information. And then our plan is that every year we're going to be hosting kind of that committee meeting in September, so that we will select those people for the November honors dinner. So we believe that if they speak at the honors dinner, they'll actually have more of an impact of a broader range of students that they'll be speaking about versus graduation. So this year will be the last year that the distinguished alumni speak at graduation, and then they'll have the 2, hopefully 3 new ones speaking in the fall. One of our challenges, and we're asking for our Belmont alumni or former teachers, we are out of Belmont people who've been submitted. So
Dickens.
very not that the quality of the candidates that we've been nominated is slim, but we just don't have.
Yeah,
There are no more.
it's not the quality, it's the number.
Yeah, the number
It's the number.
number is there. So if you were aware of some people who have distinguished themselves, again, this doesn't mean that they are a Rhodes Scholar by any means. They could be someone who's a great example to GV students as a graduate of GV, whether there's Belmont, Angelica, or GVCS. Please go to our website, and the nomination form is there, or simply call the district office and walk you through it. That's all I have. Anything else from the? I forget, man.
One, I've been working on the board retreat, and I need to know who would like a school vehicle. You could let me know. We know. That we know. Yeah, it's gonna drive. That's gonna go. Okay, so no one, you want a school vehicle? Yeah, we want a school vehicle.
When you need for other business,
Yeah.
when you need to know, the rooms are already,
The rooms are already.
so it's just a matter of,
Just,
Yes.
you don't really, just need to know if you're bringing the small snacks for dinner.
Yeah.
That's fine. Anything else?
One other thing, I don't have anybody for the board agenda, which is June 7th, of representing. You 2 are on. One of you guys, I just need one person to sign up.
I'll be there.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks. I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Bev?
Stick around a little longer.
All those in favor,
I
will adjourn and.
6:22. Not bad.
6:22.
Good luck tonight, sir.
Got one so far.
Where's the plant?
Okay.
Alfred.
Alfred.
That's big. Alfred, you guys pretty good. Well. Yeah.
No. Never hear the end of that. Have a great night, everyone.
You too. Big trip.
Hey, it's hard.